Welcome back to the Essentials of the Learning Progressions Model. We are ready to begin Module 5. As you know, I'm Elise Naramore, your guide through this journey. You may be getting impatient and wondering when we will finally get started on the learning progressions. Well, we kind of already have. I understand that the list making, sorting, and editing may seem unnecessary. However, if you want to create something long-lasting that will be effective and that you can persuasively implement and defend if necessary, then investing this time to ground your practices in meaningful thought is definitely worth it. Just bear with me. We are making progress, and I promise it'll come together soon. In the last module, we refined your outcomes list into a series of I can statements. You culled the list to remove the habits of scholarship. If necessary, please pause now to read your list over and refresh your memory of where you left off. The goal for this module is to refine, edit, and categorize your outcomes list. I call these buckets of outcomes. What do I mean by a bucket? It's a broad category that will allow you to find patterns and groupings within your long list created over the past 2 modules. This is the last step before designing our learning progressions. You want to use everyday language, getting away from stereotypical professional vocabulary. Think of an average kid in your class, or a parent whose first language may not be English. Would they understand what you mean? And you want to be ruthless with your list. What do I mean by this? Don't be wishy-washy. If there are any outcomes that you feel lukewarm about, put them off to the side. If you aren't sure of something, my general feeling is skip it and come back. By the time you're done with this process, you want to feel strongly in a positive way. This may be difficult, especially if you're at a school where the curriculum is handed to you, either because it's mandated by the state or you're working in a team. Let's pretend for the moment that this isn't a concern. We'll find a way to address it later. Looking at your I can statements, you want to group them by theme, which are related to each other. I suggest that you make a new copy of the document just in case you need to revert, and name it LPM categories. Reorder your list so that similar items are grouped together. This is pretty easy to do on a Word doc, dragging and dropping the statements to rearrange them. It may be easier to make separate pages for each group, cutting and pasting the statements onto these pages, or you can print it out and literally cut the statements apart and sort them physically. How do you know what goes together? That's totally your decision, completely. You get to decide, and as long as you can justify it, there's really no one right answer. Let me show you an example. An elementary school ELA teacher might have the list of outcomes shown here. I would try to find common themes and group them together. For example, the yellow items are all related to the mechanics of writing. I can demonstrate a vocabulary suitable for an audience and task. I can correctly use relative pronouns, progressive tense, homonyms, and complete sentences, as well as capitalization and quotations when appropriate. I can use precise language and domain-specific vocabulary to inform about or explain the topic. I can correctly use conjunctions, perfect tense, commas, and titles of works. I can correctly use plural and abstract nouns, subject-verb agreement, possessives, and spelling for high-frequency words. The pink items are all related to editing and technology. The blue items are all related to the organization and clarity of the writing. After that, I would reorder them so that these are grouped into these categories. These are my buckets. Please forgive me, I am not a content area expert here, and you might be able to come up with excellent arguments for grouping these completely different from how I did it. And that's just it. What goes in each category has to make sense to you. There is no one right way. So drop your I can statements into buckets. This may take some time depending on how long you're listing. That's really fine. Take your time.